What's up everybody, my name is Brandon Zimmerman with Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, mechanic for the number 92 of Adam Cianciarulo. Starting with the front of the bike, Adam runs the Renthal Kevlar half waffle grip and the 997 twin wall handlebar. Arc levers and arc clutch perch, stock master cylinder in the front and the rear, and then factory Nissan caliper. Brake line is stock. Throttle tube we make our own at Pro Circuit. Handlebar setups, it's fairly neutral. We make our own bar mounts and stuff at Pro Circuit, so we have got a lot of options and tried quite a few different things over the years, but pretty neutral setup right now. Runs his levers maybe just a tad higher than most. We make our own triple clamps at Pro Circuit with an option to move your handlebar either forward or backward, and along with our bar mounts. So we run them forward for AC with the longer arms and everything, gives him a little more room to move around and better feel for him. Yeah, Showa A-kit forks. Yeah, Tedesco tests for us and helps us come up with a good setting. Run our fork raised in our clamps for Supercross. Not all of our guys are on this setup, but it's something AC's been working with Tedesco. And the red plug here is just a data port. It holds a SD card for us. That's what stores our all the data from the bike, and when it comes off the track, our crew chiefs can pull the card out, download it on the computer, and see what the bike was doing out there. That'll show anything from throttle position, maybe a false neutral situation, or if the rider is in the wrong gear in a certain section of the track. That kind of breaks that down and even more. Yeah, we run the Pro Circuit cable guide, and it's similar to a stock setup. It's just a little bit stronger and it looks a little bit better. So we have Dunlop spec tires with XL A60 rims and factory KHI hubs, light speed carbon disc guard, titanium axles, DLC coated. We have a magnesium works Nissan front caliper that we get from KHI. Have our own brake hangers made for those out of aluminum. Yeah, we run our own radiator setup with carbon fiber braces, and the right side radiator actually includes an oil cooler. Our radiators are a little bit longer than stock, so we have to modify our louvers, cover them up so it protects them from rocks and roost. And then we run the Lightspeed full coverage skid plate. We kind of design them to our own specifications, and Lightspeed makes us whatever we need. The engine's a really big deal for our team. Mitch is big on horsepower and having a strong engine, so we spend a lot of time in development, everything that goes along with the engine. We design our own cams, we design our own intake air boots, throttle body modifications, all to try to give our riders the best engine that they could possibly have, the most competitive in the class that we feel. We also do, special coatings for not only for good looks, but also for protection, Cerakoted parts, and actually some of these parts are hard anodized. We got custom engraving on the clutch cover, which is kind of like a Pro Circuit staple, and we run our own water pump impeller and oil filter cover, of course, which improves flow and horsepower, and also have our own radiator hoses that we have made to our dimensions and our widths and specs, get the best cooling possible. Pro Circuit exhaust system that we make right there in Corona, California. It's pretty similar to what a customer can buy. We run a little bit different setup to help with sound and to work with our engine package, but well, actually both engine mounts are stock. It's an electrolysis nickel coating just to help with wear, and it just makes them look a little bit nicer. And then some of the guys on our team just run the standard head stays. AC likes the ones that are drilled out, gives them a little more positive feel on the bike, kind of rider preference. We use Hinson clutch components. We don't do anything with the springs. We just run, our Pro Circuit spring, a little bit stiffer than stock. We can change leverage ratios and everything at the clutch lever if needed for the rider. Adam's pretty hard on his clutches. He's been getting better and better though this year as the year goes on. Our whole shot device is one that we have made ourselves to our specs. It's actually one we don't sell to the customers, which is kind of rare for us, but it offers a double button option with two different heights. So in like a muddy situation, or if it's raining, you might go to the higher button, but typically we're always on the lowest setting. Bob over at Arc Levers, he makes us our own aluminum transponder mount. It mounts right to the top triple clamp there and tucks behind the front fender or front number plate nicely. Steering stem nuts are aluminum. We drill them out so you can wire tie it in case it should ever come loose or anything like that. Steering stem is aluminum. It's one of our specs that we've had made for our testing. Yeah, there's a lot of information and numbers throughout the bike. We have shock setting stickers that have serial numbers just to basically determine whose shock belongs to who. We try to keep all of Adam's stuff with Adam, and the other riders with them. And then same thing with the engine. We label all of our race engines with a number. It's usually the rider's number followed by a 1 or a 2, and then we do the same thing with the practice and test engines, just so you know what engines are yours and you're not using somebody else's setup. And then we also, like I said, we have the engraved clutch cover with our logo, but also something kind of cool we do on top is we laser engrave oil and dyno check boxes. So that way you can just look at the engine and you know it's been dynoed, and you know if it has oil or doesn't have oil, and determine if it's ready to go or not. So the reason for like the serial number on the engine is because we always rotate 2 race engines per racer, and yeah, after every race we will take the engine out of the frame and ship it back to our shop in Corona, and then every mechanic rebuilds his own engine when they get back to the shop on Monday or Tuesday. So that's why like we're so dedicated to winning, like and trying to be the best, and I feel like we are the best, and we all feel like we're the best team. You know, no offense to everybody else, but I just feel like we work harder than anybody. Stock kicker, titanium bolt. We got a lot of titanium bolts, dimpled fasteners for aesthetics and for saving weight. SR rear brake pedal that we get from Kawasaki. It's essentially stock in every way except the tip actually has a spring in it, and it folds back and forth in the event of you know, a collision or something. Yeah, and then we run a brake snake on the end of the brake pedal. It the other end mounts to an engine mount, and it just prevents, in the event of like hitting a tough block or coming in contact with another rider, the brake pedal is less likely to get folded outward, so the rider can't use it anymore. So the brake snake just kind of keeps it, so it can only fold out so far if it were to come in contact with something. And then another preventative piece is we have an aluminum stop that's fixed to our pivot bolt. So the lever can only go so high if it were to land on a tough block or land on, you know, in case a jump weir or hit a rock or another rider. The brake pedal can't get forced up and essentially rip the internals out of the rear master cylinder. Yeah, we run stock rear master cylinder, stock caliper. We do run our own Pro Circuit clevis on the brake pedal. It's just a billet aluminum piece, a little bit stronger than stock, and it just looks a little bit nicer with a titanium nut. Yeah, I like to run foam around my brake pedal. It's just kind of like a preventative thing. You never know if you get a rock or a hard dirt clot stuck in there, and it could lock your brake pedal up. So I like to run the foam every race. We get our own foot pegs made out of a piece of billet titanium, made to our specs, of course. And then we run that stock foot peg hangers. Some of the other guys have a titanium one, but we like to run ours in the lower position for Adam's height. So the stock one's best for us. We just kind of get them coated and shine them up, make them look a little bit better than the stock black ones. We use titanium pins, stock springs, and we make our own titanium peg covers that kind of cover up the spring and prevent mud and rocks from getting caught up there and potentially holding your foot peg up while you're racing. So yeah, we run our own Pro Circuit link arm and link knuckle. You can buy plenty of link options through our shop. This is pretty similar to what you could buy. We play around with different lengths of the link arm to work in conjunction with our shock, and then the rest of the setup with the bike. I mean, it can change drastically, just a couple mil on your link arm, you know, going up or down. We're big on the length of the shock has to be pretty much the same, whether it's outdoor, motocross. I mean, you want it to be pretty similar. And then we also do like a chassis measurement from the rear, kind of like doing sag. But yeah, we run again, Showa A-kit shock. It's got an 18 millimeter titanium nitride coated shaft with a steel spring, billet clevis, kind of anodized gray. We make these little fork guard, we call them fork guard straps, that goes on the middle bolt hole for the fork guard on the right hand side. It's essentially just a piece of metal and a bolt. It helps prevent the fork guard being ripped out when it's compressed for so long, locked in with the whole shot device. We like to always run grip tape on our race frames just to help the guys. AC started wanting to run grip tape this year on his shroud number plate area just to kind of help him lock in on the bike and not move around too much. It's a kind of a mild grip tape, I would say. It's not super aggressive. Yeah, some of the other guys have tried it and they kind of go back and forth on it. Subframe's all stock. We have options for lowering subframes, but I think all of our guys right now are just running the stock setup. It's pretty good with the bike. Bikes are pretty well balanced with the suspension and everything. Stock rear master cylinder with a stock brake line, stock caliper, titanium bolts, banjo bolts to hold it in, which we drill and we wire them up just to make sure that they stay tight and there's never an issue losing fluid or getting air in the line. We do modify our rear brake calipers we put a vent hole in the top of them just to kind of get a little more airflow to the pads and to the rotor. And then we have a Lightspeed carbon fiber custom molded caliper guard that we like to mount up, and it looks really good and sleek. We run a KHI titanium nitride piston in the rear caliper. It's actually got holes drilled into it, which is something we do at our shop just to allow more airflow and heat dissipation. We run the braking rotors with KHI hubs, same A60 XL rim as the front. We run stock spokes and nipples, titanium bolts in the rotor, and then we like to use titanium bolts as well in the sprocket with the stock steel nuts. When he finds a tire he likes, he doesn't really like to vary from that much. He is a big fan of running Dunlop's paddle tire, as they call it. It's kind of like a sand tire. Not usually in Supercross, but he has ran it before at Daytona, and we ran it in San Diego in practice just to feel that out. He likes to run a 110 also in Supercross, which is a lot of more guys are starting to do that, and he's been doing that the last couple years now. He just feels like because he's bigger, the 120 lugs down too much, and he makes the 110 work. Renthal sprockets and RK chains. We have the same sprocket setup most every Supercross race. It's 1452 gearing. We run the axle pretty much as far back as we can go, just helps with stability and straight line, and especially in the whoops or along rhythm section. We run a titanium DLC axle. DLC to help kind of slide in and out and just for wear resistance. And then we have our Pro Circuit axle blocks made out of aluminum, available to the public. Titanium chain adjuster bolts and nuts. Lightspeed rear chain guide, but we sell them at the shop. It's a pretty nice piece, all made out of carbon with a plastic insert that's much stronger than stock and lasts longer. We actually have our own twin air filter that they make for us. It's kind of like they call it a supermoto filter. It's kind of bigger in surface area. And then we have our Pro Circuit intake boot. We design in-house with our motor setup, and they also make one for customers to purchase. We steered away from the bump. We've ran that before. This year we're just going with a normal stock setup with the seat. Guts makes the foam, but it's stock foam basically, nothing different, softer or stiffer. Yeah, we have the Throttle Syndicate full gripper seat cover with the ribs all the way down. We've gone back and forth on seats a lot over the years. I've worked for them for a long time. There's been times where we had couch cushion seats and broken in seats and new seats, so we're kind of off of all that now. I like to just keep the seat as fresh as possible, maybe go every couple races and do a new one. Throttle Syndicate does all of our graphics and everything. We do have a little bit different scheme this weekend for Vegas. We're running the black Artec plastics on the rear and the shrouds. We have a billet aluminum shifter we have made with our company CMI. We run a little bit offset tip. It's 10 millimeter longer, which helps guys with bigger feet just to kind of help catch their shift better. Our carbon fiber countershaft sprocket guard, a lot smaller than the stock one and lighter weight for sure. Yeah, we run a manual cam chain tensioner. It allows us to kind of fine tune the measurement on the cam chain, and we can adjust it throughout the day if needed for performance. Full billet aluminum Pro Circuit ignition cover that's got a nice anodizing finish to it with our engine plug kit. These you can also buy at Pro Circuit over the counter for most models. All lubricants and come from Maxima. We run Maxima everything, brake fluid, coolant, engine oil, which is great. They work closely with us to develop the best oil we need for our bike, and then it in turn goes to customers. Yeah, so we run a 1.8 radiator cap. It's a Kawasaki part number. Stock bike comes with a 1.1. We like to up it to the 1.8 just for a higher boiling point and more resistance to the bike overheating. And then we have our Pro Circuit catch cans. It's kind of a signature Pro Circuit part. It's all made out of titanium, and we have it laser engraved with our Pro Circuit Globe logo. Rather than coolant coming out of the overflow hose and going onto the ground, it'll go into the catch can. It can circulate back into the system as the bike cools down. Our pivots are titanium and they're hollow, so we plug the right side with the rear brake pedal stopper, and then this side we plug with a piece of aluminum. Nothing can get crammed in there.